Hello. Doing a news roundup, I guess, for the week ending February 11th, 2022. This is a news break from Mistakes and Mistakes. A lot of news happened this week. We will start with the sad passing of Betty Davis on the 9th. She died at the age of 77. She's an iconic funk singer, ex-wife of Miles Davis. She had her own career in her own right. She had a few fairly successful records. Her first self-titled debut was in 1973. And she had two more albums, They Say I'm Different in 1974 and 1975's Nasty Gal. She married the renowned jazz player in 1968. And it was her that introduced him to Jimi Hendrix, amongst other influential rockers at the time. Late Miss Davis was 77. In a follow-up, I guess the ongoing story of Neil Young. As we stated earlier, Neil Young had sold his catalog to the investment group Hipgnosis, which is also partially owned by BlackRock. The short TLDR of the ongoing Neil Young Spotify Joe Rogan thing, for the fact that I missed last week. So, David Eck, the founder of Spotify, spoke up for Joe. Joe apologized because a super PAC dug up some old film and supercut it. Jimmy Dore, Tim Pool, a bunch of other people have done stories on that. If you want to find out the political ramifications of all that, those are the people I would check out, amongst others. But Neil, still on the fight, got the members of Crosby, Stills and Nash to pull their music from Spotify. I think NDRE pulled her music from Spotify. And then now, to further fight the machine, or fight for the status quo, Mr. Young is asking workers at Spotify to quit their jobs in protest of the ongoing drama. He also tells Joe Rogan to stop apologizing. I will say this, as far as the apologizing part, I don't believe in apologizing about stuff that you didn't do wrong. And I don't believe in apologizing for a lot of things in general, because it's only, as we've seen in a lot of cases, it only gets you in more hot water, because it's blood in the water for a lot of people. The contrast is, in a story that I didn't cover earlier this year when it happened, mainly because I'm still trying to piece it all together. Travis Scott, I don't think apologized. So I could be wrong. But he's having a new baby with Kylie Jenner. But it seems like the Astro World. Oh no, he spoke about it back in December. I totally missed it. He had this interview with Charlamagne the God, and he didn't take responsibility so much as he was just like, I feel bad that stuff happened. But that's one of the reasons why once the initial backlash, the media feeding frenzy was over, you didn't hear anything about Astroworld after that, which I thought was just kind of very interesting. It's just a contrast to the Joe Rogan thing. Travis Scott never did a whole bunch of, I take responsibility. He felt bad that things happened. He's like, I wish I could have done more. And that was pretty much about it. And it just rolled over. Like, people aren't even talking about Astroworld except locally, the lawsuits are mostly being settled, and that's pretty much the end of that story. But he's Neil Young's telling the employees to leave before the place eats up your soul. I guess my question for Neil Young, who got $50 million from Hypnosis, is: so when the people that work at Spotify leave Spotify, where are they gonna go? Like, what's their plan? Because they don't have $50 million, Neil. Like, I don't know what their plan is. Speaking of older rock stars and crazy money, this week Sting sold his entire songwriting catalog for about, it's 184 million pounds, which comes to about $250 million. This got reported on the 10th. Moving into the 10th here. The interesting thing about this setup, which I'm going to talk about, which mirrors something else I'm going to talk about that happened either earlier or I found it on the same day. So his agreement covers all of his solo work, including like the hits like Shape of My Heart, Fields of Gold, Englishman in New York. But it also extends to everything Sting wrote for the Police, such as Roxanne, Every Breath You Take, and Every Little Thing She Does Is Magic. This is originally reported by NME. He sold his catalog to the Universal Publishing Group. To quote the artist, quote Sting, he says, it's absolutely essential to me that my career's body of work have a home where it's valued and respected, not only to connect with longtime fans, but also to introduce my songs to new audiences, musicians, and generations. He's actually going into the studio here soon to put out a new record. This is a similar deal that's happened with people in recent months. The estates of both George Michael and David Bowie, or Bowie, depending on where you're from, sold for a ton of money. Yeah, Bowie's estate sold his catalog for $250 million back in January, and he sold that to Warner Chappell Music. But here came the interesting one that I found. While I was looking, Springsteen sold his catalog back in December for $500 million. And it's the whole thing. It's everything from his debut, which is Greetings from Asbury Park, New Jersey, to his latest full-length record, Letter to You, which came out in October 2020. Like, it's his whole thing. But the interesting thing was that he sold his music, his masters, and I think he was looking to sell his publishing rights, which he also sold. Also to Universal Music Publishing Group. A lot of people did it. Stevie Nicks did it. Lindsey Buckingham had done it. And the thing about Lindsey Buckingham's deal is this is all reported by NME, by the way. Lindsey Buckingham's deal includes parts of, it includes the songs that he wrote in Fleetwood Mac. This is probably going to include it's pretty much stuff off their hit records, which is crazy. So it means that I guess Mick's going to end up owning the stuff pre the induction of Buckingham Nicks. That's people cashing in. Paul Simon did it. Bob Dylan did it. Quincy Jones did it. Bruno Mars sold his catalog. I know Bruno Mars had a catalog. I have to think a little bit on Bruno Mars. I know Bruno Mars had a deep catalog or anything. So that happened, but as that company is raking in, shelling out money to bring in talent. Snoop Dogg, and this is the interesting thing about that whole situation. Snoop Dogg bought Death Row. This is not the only Snoop Dogg news this week. Also, however, because he's performing at the Super Bowl, like he's performing, Eminem's performing, Dre's going to be there. This whole thing. So Snoop bought Death Row, and he bought it in a press release from Berkshire Hathaway's Business Wire. He bought Calvin Brothers, acquired the company from private equity controlled MNRK Music Group, which, if you dig back into MNRK, they're controlled or a majority stake in that company is owned by BlackRock, who owns Hipgnosis, who owns Neil Young's music. Now, it's not clear how much he paid for the label, because the label filed for bankruptcy in 2006 and was sold after that because Suge was in legal troubles. Suge, by the way, is serving a 28-year prison sentence for running over and killing a man in 2015. So Snoop owns now the whole catalog, apparently, for Death Row, including the masters. But the story on the masters is not quite clear yet. That's still being kind of fleshed out from what a lot of the reporting I've seen on him. And I think he just put out a new song with Nate Dogg. By the way, I didn't know Nate Dogg was still alive. That still tripped me out this week when I saw that. Let me get you that story. That was super interesting, because I didn't know that Nate Dogg. I thought Nate Dogg had died. Yeah, Nate Dogg died like 2011. His obituary is out there. Snoop Dogg. Let's look this up. Snoop Dogg. I'm doing this on the fly here. So I saw that this week. I didn't even. It's because so he's dropping. Snoop is dropping a new album, and one of the new songs on it is called "Outside the Box," which features Nate Dogg. Wow. And it's coming out under Death Row. BODR, which features Nas, Wiz Khalifa, and the aforementioned Nate Dogg, is coming out on Death Row. It's got 18 tracks on it. It's got The Game. It's got The Baby. It's got Uncle Murder. It's got a bunch of producers on it. Hit Boy, DJ Green Lantern, High Tech. This will be interesting. It's one. I guess it's one of the first things that Snoop has done that wasn't produced by Dre. And that's not a dig. A lot of his biggest hits have been produced by Dre, but it's interesting to see him working with other people. He's going to be on the halftime show along with Kendrick Lamar, Eminem, and Dr. Dre, as I mentioned earlier, and Mary J. Blige. This will be interesting. That'll be super interesting. "18 Tracks" is a long record. I have not sat down and listened to that. That's going to be interesting. So, to talk about the Super Bowl show for a minute, I went back and listened to the Prince halftime show earlier this week, which a lot of people say is the greatest halftime show in the history of halftime shows. And it is. The rain happened spontaneously. Like it was just like, if there's ever a show I guess Prince would want to go out on, it would have been that show. Go back and watch it. If you haven't watched it, I'll go back and watch. It's going to be a large contrast from how, and I expect this show to be tightly put together and timed effortlessly because they do a good job putting on Super Bowl shows. I'm wondering how many the thing I'm most interested in about this Super Bowl show. We're gonna end on this note. Is how is the delay button gonna work? How is what songs are gonna do? 'Cause everything in the catalog of most of these artists on this Super Bowl show, well, I guess the exception of Kendrick Lamar, because a lot of stuff is more modern, is going to be seen as problematic. So I'm very interested to see the aftermath, really, of this Super Bowl show. That's it. That's this news break. We're going to come back here soon and do another upload of another series on this channel. Feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Catch you on the flip side.